Welcome to 5-Star Reviews. My name's Stefan, and today we're going to be talking about the brand new movie Dolittle, starring Robert Downey Jr. and a host of voice actors and animation of animals. Now, Dr. Dolittle was a series of books way back in the day, probably before your grandparents. There were people before that. And with Dr. Dolittle, he went on a variety of adventures and all of that. And we remember him as Eddie Murphy, or your grandparents probably remember him as somebody else, because he's been remade several times at more modern takes of a doctor that talks to animals. And with this movie, we go back to the Victorian era with swashbuckling and pirates. And it's like Pirates of the Caribbean, but Dolittle, but talking to animals. That's what the movie is. Dr. Dolittle is a reluctant adventurer who lost his wife and has now decided to shut himself up from the rest of the world. But the queen's been poisoned, and that's it. He has to go save the princess by finding a magical fruit, and it's a basic adventure story. That's all you get. That's all you need. One of the things that I really like about Dolittle is that it's not an origin story. I am so done with origin stories that I would like just a pretty standard adventure fare, especially for a kid's movie. The kids don't care where things came from. They just want a clever adventure with some goofy characters and some exorbitant special effects. And this has it in spades. The characters are a polar bear that is always cold, a gorilla that's afraid of everything, a duck with a wooden foot. And then of course my favorite character, Kevin the squirrel. Now, the story revolves around Stubbins, who is a kid, the son of a hunter who doesn't want to hunt. He likes animals too much. So he accidentally shoots a squirrel and takes it to Dr. Dolittle to fix him. And the squirrel, after that, has some kind of trauma where he wakes up yelling, "Revenge!" And I gotta admit that was pretty funny. There's some lighthearted moments in this movie, and it's not a perfect film. It doesn't really go anywhere. The villain isn't really villainous. The stakes aren't extremely high. There's so much that could be explored with a more in-depth, interpretation of this story, but it doesn't need it. This is an adventure story for kids. It's a kid's story. It's a kid's movie. It's going to play dozens of times a day in the background with kids throwing things against the wall. That's what this movie is going to be for, and it's going to be great. Kids are going to look back at this movie and remember fondly about the tiger that just wanted to be loved by his father, or the dragon with stomach indigestion. The movie's silly. You got to go in thinking it's going to be totally silly, and that's what you get. Dr. Dolittle stars Robert Downey Jr. It is in theaters now. I give it 5 stars. What do you give it? You tell me. Link, subscribe down below. This has been 5-Star Reviews. If you'd like to see more movies that I give 5 stars to, let me know. See you next time.